Hello and welcome to the next episode of C Programming. In this episode, we're going to talk about if and else statement, or condition and branches. What do we mean by condition and branches? You might have a part in your code that you wanted to check something. For example, if a value is 5, I want this code to be executed. If the value was 6, I want the other code to be executed. This is how we do conditions and branches using C programming. Let's jump into the code and see how we write the code. So we have the clean code here. I start writing code. I'll introduce a variable int var1 equals to 5. Semicolon. On the next line, I use if statement. If space, as in C. It's a C keyword and Visual Studio recognize it. Here goes the condition. And then in the next line, open curly bracket, and here goes the statement. I haven't told you a very important point about commenting your code. To comment your code, on the line that you're typing the code, for example, I'm typing the code here, and I wanted to have a comment for myself, // then whatever you want. It's not going to be executed and it's not going to be a part of the code. This is the first variable. Here is the if statement. But there's another way to write comments as well. For example, if you wanted to write a couple of lines of comments. So it's just /*, and then between them or on the same line, you can write whatever you want. This is the statement of the if condition. So we have these ways of writing comments in C programming. But let's just get rid of this one and start writing code. Print f hello world /. So what is condition? Condition is something that's either true or false. In this case, we wanted to check if our variable is 5 or not. We have a type of operator called equality operator. There is a difference between equality operator and if I put 2 equal signs or 1 equal sign. And what is different between these two? So the assignment operator is different than equal in mathematics. How different is, for example, in mathematics, when we say x equals to 5 and y equal to x, it means that it doesn't matter if you say y equal to x or x equal to y. But here, equal sign is not identical to the equal sign as in mathematics. We call it assignment operator. Assignment operator takes whatever is in the right side, puts it in the left side. For example, if I say var1 equals to 5, it means that C will take the value of the right hand side, which is 5, put it into the left hand side, which is var1. So it's not a two-way street. But the other operator, the equality operator, is the compare operator is double equal sign. It's a function that somebody wrote it for us in stdio.h, thank to them, that it will take the right hand side and left hand side and compare them bit by bit. For example, for integers, you have 32 bits. It will go for every bit and check every bit with each other. If all the 32 bits are identical, it will return 1. And if it wasn't identical, it will return 0. So basically, condition could either be true or false. So I would use the compare operator, var1, and I'm comparing it to 5. So if var1 is 5, I want this statement to be printed, and I forgot the semicolon at the end of it. So if I compile and run this code, everything should work. Let's Control F5, and the code is compiled and hello world is being printed. But what if we in the line 6 say var1 is equal to var1 plus 1. So basically on line 6, I'm increasing var1 by 1 increment, which var1 right now should have the value of 6. Now the condition should be false. So the compare operator should return 0. And if it returns 0, if the condition is false, C will send us to the end of the curly bracket for the if statement. It means that the printf hello world wouldn't be printed. Here, let's compile and run the code. You see nothing is being printed. But there is another keyword called else. For the else statement, it means if the condition for if statement wasn't true, now execute this part. So in our case right now, whatever the code inside the curly brackets of else statement is should be printed. Let's print f I'm in statement. And semicolon. So if I control F5, compile and run without debugging, I would see that I'm in else statement printed out. So if I remove this code, I can comment it. If the comment it wouldn't be executed anymore, it would act like a comment. Control F5 to compile and run the code, and you see, because var1 is 5, the compare operator will return 1, so this body of the code will be executed. If we bring that line back, var1 is not 5 anymore, it's 6. And when it's 6, when the code reads here, is var1 equal to 5? No, false. Then jump to the else and execute whatever is in else. Because in these if and else condition, I'm only executing one line of code. I can get rid of this curly bracket, and but be careful that I would always put the curly brackets, but if it's only one line of code, you don't need to put curly brackets. But I rather to keep the curly bracket. Imagine you have different branches. You wanted to check var1 against 5, and if it was 5, some code will be executed. If it wasn't 5, you're going to check it against 6. If it was 6, you're going to check. If it was 6, you're going to execute another part of the code and continue going on. And execute another part of the code. And if it wasn't either 5 or 6, you want to execute another part of your code. In order to do that, you need to use else if statement. To do else if, so here we're checking if var1 is 5 and printing hello world. Let's change this to something that makes sense. The value of, let's make it uppercase T, the value of var1 is 5. Then here else if the condition in this case I wanted to check if var1 equal to 5, which is comparing var1 to 5, was false, I want to now check it against 6. If var1 equals to 6, then print f the value of var1 is 6. And if neither of those happen, else, I want to say that the value of var1 is 9, either 5 or 6. /n to go to the next line. So if I compile and run this code, right now, I assume that it will be printed that the value of var1 is 6. Let's Control F5 to see what's happening. Compile and run the code. Okay, the value of var1 is 6. So we see that when the code reached this line and see the condition is false, it will jump to this line. Do not execute this part. It will jump to the next part and then checks var1 against 6. If it's true, it will execute this line. If it wasn't true, it will execute line 15. Let's make sure. If I add var2 to var1 and store it in var1, now the value of var1 would be 7. I'm sure that the first one will be false, the second one will be false, and we will see this printed on the screen. Well, let's double check. Control F5. The value of var1 is neither 5 nor 6, and it's working. In this video, we'll learn about if and else statement. Using if and else statement, we can condition and branch our code. This is going to be very useful. I would say you cannot find complex codes, for example, games or engineering softwares that doesn't have if and else statements in it. So that's a very important topic. Try to practice on it, learn it, and let me know if you have any questions. Have a good one. See you in the next episode, guys.